If you spend more than 5 minutes scrolling on any app right now, you're going to run into this guy. He'll point at a whiteboard, draw some upward trending arrows, and pitch you a way to zero out your housing costs. House hacking. The core promise is simple. You buy a standard duplex, you move your stuff into one side, rent out the other side to a tenant, and use their rent to cover your entire mortgage. The internet makes this sound effortless. You're a real estate mogul in your early 20s, sipping a smoothie on a beach while someone else pays for the roof over your head. But there is a version of this story that doesn't make the edit. It's the one where a structural emergency hits at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and you are the only person legally responsible for fixing it. House hacking is marketed as a hands-off side hustle. In reality, it is a demanding business, where the line between a profitable month and a massive loss depends entirely on variables you don't control. Let's say you have some savings from working a 9 to 5. You want to invest and get ahead, and house hacking makes perfect sense on paper. For a 2-unit house, fixed carrying costs, mortgage, taxes, and insurance total exactly $2,000 a month. You move into Unit A and rent out Unit B for $2,000. The income completely offsets expenses, bringing your net housing costs to zero. On a spreadsheet, you can now take your entire paycheck and invest it elsewhere, or buy the luxury items you've been putting off. It is a perfectly balanced financial equation. But these models assume rent checks arrive on time every month, and they completely ignore the physical reality of maintaining a building. There is a distinction between actual passive income and what the internet calls landlording. Collecting dividends from a stock index requires zero active labor and no midnight phone calls. Being a landlord is a second job, requiring you to be on call 24/7. You are the CEO, the property janitor, and the emergency responder for a property you also live in. Imagine it's 2 a.m. in January. Your phone rings. It's your panicking tenant. Their heater is out, and brown water is leaking through the ceiling. You are legally obligated to provide a habitable living space. You can't wait until morning. You have to take immediate, high-cost action. This timeline chart shows how a single night resets your progress. Emergency HVAC repairmen charge premium weekend rates. A $5,000 furnace replacement instantly wipes out a year of rental gains, leaving you with a net loss. In this scenario, you aren't just an investor managing a portfolio. You have become a full-time caretaker for a physical structure that requires constant, expensive maintenance to remain functional. Even when the building is functioning perfectly, there is one final variable that no spreadsheet can account for: the behavior of the people living in it. When you house hack, you share a physical wall with your customers. Your home is also your place of business. This creates a dynamic similar to having a bad roommate, someone who has no regard for shared spaces or common courtesy, but with the added weight of a legal contract. A tenant can generate constant noise pollution, playing music so loud that the shared wall begins to vibrate and crack. You find yourself living intimately close to a stranger whose presence may be deeply unsettling or unpredictable, and you have no easy way to remove them. The promise of a lifestyle without bills is replaced by the reality of a legally binding obligation to a stranger, set inside a property that requires your constant attention. Imagine sharing your own home with a complete stranger, but you can't just ask them to move out. You are legally and financially bound to this person. The real estate gurus on the internet assume your tenant will be a quiet, respectful accountant who reads history books and goes to bed at 9 p.m. sharp. But in reality, you might rent to someone who starts an amateur heavy metal band in their living room, or brings home a massive, aggressive dog that barks at the drywall for 6 hours straight every time they leave the house. Then the situation escalates. They invite a sketchy boyfriend. Strange cars pull into your driveway at all hours of the night. And then they just stop paying rent entirely. Evicting someone is not like returning a bad sweater to the mall. Depending on the state or city where you live, the law heavily favors the renter. The process is a grueling, expensive legal nightmare that can drag on for months, sometimes well over a year. During those 6 to 12 agonizing months of the eviction process, you are trapped in a complete financial vacuum. The tenant isn't paying you a single dime, but the bank still expects its money every single month. Your $2,000 mortgage, which was supposed to be easily covered by the renter, now falls entirely onto your shoulders. On top of paying that mortgage, you are bleeding cash on expensive legal fees, all while dealing with the constant, grinding stress of making eye contact with the person who is actively stealing from you every time you walk out to the driveway to check the mail. If you enjoy simple finance explained like this, and you want to avoid casually walking into massive financial disasters, gently tap that subscribe button. It's totally free, unlike fixing a broken water heater, and it helps the channel out a ton. Okay, let's step away from the emotional stress of bad tenants and look at the actual math on the whiteboard. Because the physical property itself has a mathematical trap built right into the framework. Look at this ledger. At the top, you'll see a crucial commercial real estate term called CapEx, or capital expenditures. That is a very fancy corporate way of saying that houses are basically giant machines constantly trying to destroy themselves. The gurus on YouTube casually recommend saving maybe 5% of your rent for repairs. If your rent is $2,000, this shows a neat $100 a month trickling into your repair fund. Sounds totally reasonable. But when your roof starts leaking during a massive rainstorm, the roofing contractor doesn't care that you only have $400 saved up. A new roof costs $10,000 to $15,000 minimum. One bursting pipe in the wall, one hidden black mold issue, a sneaky termite infestation. Just one of these totally normal homeowner events wipes out 2, 3, maybe 5 entire years of your so-called passive profits. The numbers suggest you are essentially a temporary custodian of the tenant's cash until the property inevitably demands it back. Let's assume you get incredibly lucky. You survive the bad tenants, you find someone nice, you fix the roof cheaply, you somehow make the entire house hacking thing work and secure positive cash flow. How much actual money are you clearing for all of this intense anxiety? You are painting walls on your precious weekends and fighting with strangers about garbage cans, all to watch a screen compares a $50,000 down payment on a duplex against quietly putting that exact same $50,000 into an S&P 500 index fund. Historically, the stock market doubles roughly every 7 to 10 years, and as you can see, it compounds smoothly. You literally press a button on your phone and live your life. You don't have to fix the stock market's toilet at midnight. The stock market doesn't call the city inspector on you. When you factor in the sheer amount of time, the physical labor, the mental stress, and the unrecoverable sunk costs of maintaining a physical property, house hacking often pays you less than minimum wage per hour worked. You took your hard-earned money and bought yourself a part-time job as a janitor. House hacking is a concentrated, highly leveraged, and illiquid business venture. Ultimately, wealth is measured in free time, peace of mind, and the freedom to enjoy your life.